For context, I, 25 female, have a niece, Bella, pre-tween female, and a nephew, Michael, tween male. They're my brother Alex's kids. I love them both, but I have a much closer relationship with Bella. Michael's a good kid, but he's a ticking time bomb. He's absolutely uncontrollable. I'm his aunt, and I love him, but I really can't have him around for long. The last time he was in our house, he poured my nail polish collection onto my wife's favorite silk Persian carpet, and that isn't even 1% of the damage he's done. My wife, 27, and I recently bought a villa out of town. It has a game room, pool, and many things Bella adores. So we offered to give her a tour of the place and let her check out the rose garden there if Alex and his wife agreed. Alex said both Michael and Bella were to be included, or neither was going. My wife and I both insisted on only taking Bella, but he wasn't having it, so we said we'd just go by ourselves. Alex got really mad at us and said it was disgusting that we favored Bella because she was a girl, and that we were both hypocritical and unfair to Michael and have never included him in our plans. I told my brother that Michael was an uncontrollable kid. He dared to ask what Michael had done. I told him I'd let him know. I've told him the items over the years as it happened, but he's always said it was an accident and that Michael's a boy and boys play rough. I made a table including every item my nephew damaged in our house and the estimated cost, and included a few of my wife's antique vases, her glass statue of the Eiffel Tower, carpet, several of my wife's crystal decorative items, and 2 phones. He flushed them down the toilet. Even the mirror of my car. I sent the list to Alex. He's now extremely angry with me and thinks I'm arrogant and taking after my wife's trait of being an uptight rich kid. So I'm not talking to him at the moment. Was what I did idiot territory? No way what you did was idiot territory. I thought maybe you'd kept a list of everything he'd broken next to your heart to bring out at all times. Instead, he opted to play dumb, so you were 100% in the right to bring up every situation you could remember at that point. Plus, the kid is a tween. I don't know when all of these incidences happened, but I can trust my toddler with additional needs not to touch my nail polish or flush random objects down the toilet. I'd be embarrassed if I hadn't mastered the don't trash the house skill by young grammar school age, and mortified if this was still happening as a tween. OP, he asked. Not your fault he didn't like the answer. I grew up with 5 brothers. Michael has broken more stuff than we all did, combined. Also, boys play rough because they're allowed to. Girls get in much more trouble for that sort of play and are directed away from it. It's not some immutable law of gender. It's just children being children. Agree. It's usually more about the parents. The girls themselves might be fine getting rough. The boys might be fine being quiet. The parents are the ones who tend to stop that. And when people say girls mature faster, what they really mean is that basically, no parent makes excuses like this when it's a tween girl making destructive messes everywhere. Consequences are what make a kid mature. Simple as that. While I understand your brother's point about both kids or none, and I agree in most cases, this isn't the same. So long as you're not leaving out any damages your niece has done, this clearly isn't about a gender preference. This is more of an actions have consequences situation. While it might feel unfair to Michael, this is the opportunity for his parents to teach him to behave better in other people's homes. I also don't think it would be fair for the niece to be denied things due to her brother's behavior. The easiest solution would be to say, Michael can come, but you need to come too then, and be responsible for making sure nothing gets broken. Oh, and security deposit in cash. But I wonder where his behavior started. If the parents are talking about how stuck up OP is for having stuff and joking about what if it got broken, the kid may not understand that he's misbehaving, especially if the parents are talking about rich people whining about their stuff after OP informs them that the kid ruined something. My wife, 30, and I, 32 male, recently went shopping for my mother-in-law because she's been struggling financially. I want to add that she didn't ask us to do that. We did it because we wanted to help her. Anyway, in the end, the cost was more than we anticipated because I had to pay for them. When we brought the groceries, she was visibly embarrassed, so I told her not to worry and that she could pay me back later. When I said that, my wife gave me an "Are you serious?" look, but didn't say anything in front of her mom. In the car, she immediately turned to me and said, "Did you really just tell my mom she could pay you back later?" I was confused and asked what was wrong with that. Her logic is that since we had to buy groceries for her, she won't be able to pay me back, and it was inappropriate of me to bring it up in front of her. I told her that I'd put $200 in groceries for her mom, so I was allowed to expect to be paid back and to tell her so. She said that if getting paid back was so important for me, she'll pay me back instead. But I refused because her paying me back would be the same as paying back myself, so it made no sense. She said I was annoying and drove us home. She has since avoided conversations about her mom paying me back and just keeps repeating that she'll pay me back, but I keep refusing. My friend said I was being an idiot to keep insisting and should just accept being paid back by my wife. Am I the idiot? You offered to buy groceries for your mother-in-law out of your own pocket. She didn't ask. The cost was more than we anticipated. This means that you put a bunch of stuff in the cart and you ignored the cost before going to the register. You decide that your mother-in-law owes you $200. Do I have that right? If she had shopped for herself, she would have shopped more frugally. You didn't do her a favor. You just added to her burden, and you somehow feel like you're in the right. You are the idiot. Shopping for my mother-in-law because she's struggling financially. Pay you back with what? No. You were just loaning payment for the groceries she never asked you to buy. Not helpful. Help if you can help. If you can't help, don't hurt. What's your point of forcing mother-in-law to pay you? Are you teaching her financial responsibility? If you need the money, let your wife pay you. Ask her to bake you some cupcakes and call it even. You're 32 years old and pressed about your mother-in-law paying you back for groceries when your wife even offered is crazy, especially when you said mother-in-law struggling, literally the mother of your wife. Don't worry about whether we think you're an idiot. Worry about whether your wife does. Your divorce will cost you more than $200. Congratulations on your brilliant financial mind. Your friends are right, and I'm betting it's because they're good people. What are you? You sound like one of those guys who are self-proclaimed good guys, and the wife is the same. They didn't even take her mother shopping. The two of them went on a little spree without telling her, then just showed up with a trunk full of groceries. That's when he sprung the whole, "Surprise, you owe me $200" thing on her. Like, we know you're poor, so we just grabbed a whole cartload of stuff that we weren't even sure you needed or liked. You're so welcome, and now you need to pay up for the privilege of having me as your personal shopper. This man sounds awful. My nearly adult female, sister 24, is getting married in the fall. When she and her fiance started planning things a few weeks ago, they said it would be no kids. I initially didn't think anything of that. I assumed she meant 13 plus or something like that. That was weird though, because she never came to me about anything wedding related like she did with the rest of the family. So last week, I asked her if she needed help with anything and asked if she wanted me to wear a specific dress or something like that. She said no, why would I? I'm not going. She explained that no kids meant no kids, no exceptions, so I was too young by 3 months to attend. I was really hurt by that and told our parents. They didn't know I wasn't invited, so my dad told her either she let me come or she wasn't getting their half of the money. She did invite me, but she made a big show of how she didn't want me there. So I said, screw it, don't bother. Since she doesn't want me there, I won't be. But she just didn't expect things to return to normal afterward. We used to be close, and we texted a lot, even after she moved out. Not anymore, though. I blocked her on everything, and I'm not speaking to her. I don't know if our relationship can recover from this, but if we do, it's going to be up to her to fix it. My parents say I'm overreacting, but this really hurt me. Not the idiot. 3 months shy of 18? Nah, your sister's something else. Let her explain to the whole family why you're not there. You are absolutely not overreacting. I don't understand why she would do this if you girls had a good relationship. Is it just the two of you? Are there other siblings? If there are, how do they feel about this? Is it possible your future brother-in-law doesn't like you? That he could be the reason why she's acting this way? Whatever happens, whether you decide to actually go or not, after all her theatrics, keep your head high. You've acted in such a mature way. I hope your parents don't force you into going after all of this. Yeah, but the problem now is that Bridezilla can now say, but my sister was invited. She just didn't come because we forgot to put her name on the invite. She'll likely attempt to spin it to avoid looking like a meanie. Child-free refers to younger children who need supervision, not nearly adult people. Also, typically, exceptions to that rule are made for literal siblings and/or children of the bride and groom. This seems really bizarre. I understand child-free weddings, but I truly don't understand why she wouldn't invite her sister if you really were that close. She's having the best day of her life and is actively telling you you can't be a part of it and can only begrudgingly come because she won't get money if you can't. That's selfish and greedy. Is there any reason to consider her fiancé talked her into not making an exception for you? Is your sister concerned you may outshine her? Maybe. He doesn't like me, but he's never come off as controlling. I don't really know. My parents say she feels bad, but she hasn't shown up or tried to apologize through them. Your sister's future husband doesn't like you. This is relevant, I think. It makes your sister's conduct even worse. If the whole child-free pretext is, well, a pretext not to invite you because her husband doesn't want you there, it's even more unforgivable. She's definitely too immature to get married. I, female teen, live with just my dad, 42. My mom left when I was 5, and I haven't seen her since. 2 years ago, my dad started dating Chris, female 41. She's okay. We definitely aren't close. It's kind of me doing my thing and Chris doing her thing. I figured I'll be out of the house soon, so it didn't really matter if my dad's girlfriend and I didn't get along. Except we have a big problem. I have a cat I got when I was a younger teen, and she was just a kitten. She's helped me through a lot of tough times. When Chris first came over, she saw my cat and said she was allergic. Well, I don't believe it. She's been over for multiple days. Her eyes don't get puffy or watery. She doesn't sound congested or anything, and she also doesn't get hives or a rash or anything. So I call BS. Because she constantly talks about how bad her allergies are, but I see no symptoms. Well, Sunday my dad proposed, and of course Chris said yes. Her apartment lease is coming up for her to renew if she wants, but last night they talked about Chris just moving in with us. Then she said, well, if I'm living here full time, the cat's got to go. She complained she's not always going to deal with her allergies. I told them no, I'm not willing to give up my cat. My dad pleaded with me, saying it was unfair for Chris to have to deal with her allergies all the time while living with us. Chris had a smirk on her face while my dad was trying to bargain with me. At that moment, I knew she was definitely faking. After Chris left, I told my dad I would never forgive him if he made me get rid of my cat. And I also told him I think Chris is faking being allergic to cats. He got mad and told me I was selfish, and I didn't want him to be happy. I know some people will say that my cat is just a pet, but she's honestly family to me. Not the idiot. Tell him you're allergic to Chris. This is an example of a power struggle where she wants her dad to pick her over her. It's a sample of what's to come. Can you have a family member or friend foster you until you're out on your own? The cat and the daughter could stay with a family member. OP, move in with a sympathetic relative. He's lost his mind along with his heart. Your kids always come first. Always. And be extra careful with your cat. If you can, get them chipped. Sounds like an evil stepmother might try and dump your baby somewhere. Don't trust her or your dad. They're already behaving against your best interest. Please don't trust them to do right by your cat. And lock down anything precious to you. Family heirlooms, keepsakes, photos of you and your parents, because Chris will accidentally give away or destroy it. You can warn your dad that you'll never forgive him and warn him that you'll go no contact and move out as soon as you're of age. But at the end of the day, it's your dad's house and he can do what he wants, so please be prepared. My husband and I have both sets of parents living in the same city as us. We decided to have a weekly dinner with each set of parents so that we could see them regularly. My parents get Saturday night. My sister, her husband, and daughter also live in the same city and come to my parents' house on Saturday so that we can all hang out. My mother-in-law and father-in-law get Friday nights. We spend our Friday evenings with them at their house or ours. For a while now, my mother-in-law's been complaining about us giving my parents Saturday evenings. She thinks we're favoring my parents by giving them Saturdays. Her reason for wanting Saturdays is that it's one of her days off and she'd have more time to prepare a meal for us. She wants to relax all day and then have us come over. Currently, my parents live 35 minutes away from us on a good traffic day. If we were to go on any weekday evening, it would take us upwards of 50 minutes to an hour to get there. My in-laws live 10 minutes away from us. It's much easier to go over on a weekday. My mom does a fast for religious reasons every Friday and has for as long as I can remember. She only eats specific foods and has her meal about midday. Therefore, if we were to go over to my parents' house on Friday, she'd just have to watch us eat. Also, we can't give my parents Sunday because we go to temple in the evenings. We spend the same amount of time at each parent's house. We don't go to my parents' house on Saturday and spend the whole day with them. We go there for dinner, about 2 hours, and do the exact same thing with my in-laws, but on Friday, and for the same amount of time. I gave it a try though, recently. We've given my in-laws Saturday nights every few weeks. Never has dinner been made, nor any sort of special meal my mother-in-law claimed she needed the time for. I'm in the kitchen, still helping her cook every meal once we get there. We spend the same time there as we would if it were a Friday night. Everything is absolutely the same. This past week, she complained again, and I refused to give her Saturday. My husband agrees with my reasonings, but he feels bad for her and thinks we should just do it for her. He thinks that I shouldn't be holding on to this too much. I should just deal with the driving and my mom not eating and go to my parents on Friday, even though Saturdays also work for my sister. So I get to see my whole family at once. He thinks I'm an idiot for not considering her feelings and not going to their house this past Saturday. I think the way things are, Friday for my in-laws and Saturdays for my parents makes it possible for us to have dinner and spend time with everyone, which was the point of all of this in the first place. Am I the idiot for not giving my mother-in-law Saturday dinners? Do you and your husband ever get time together for date nights? You're spending Friday with your in-laws, Saturdays with your parents, and temple on Sunday. Where's the time for you and your husband and nurturing your marriage? Regardless, not the idiot, but weekly dinners? That is a lot of family time. Completely agree with you. Do they even have any other friends? This is way too much time with parents and in-laws when I think their friends must be like, hey, do you ever want to hang out with us? Dial that way back to once a month on varying nights. If it were my mom, I'd probably say, you know what? Let's not do any dinners for a while because it's taking too much off my nerves right now. You see it, right? Keeping things as are makes more people happy. Switching means only mother-in-law's happy, and that's what your husband is suggesting. Just so we're both clear, your husband is choosing his mother's happiness, even as you said you do the same things and actually have to help cook when mother-in-law gets Saturday. Yet, your husband still wants to give in and give his mother what she wants. Honey, you have a husband problem.